She has a lot of gaming hot takes.
Right.
I bet she does. It's like Valorant players are not as good as I say it, Irene, say it. You can don't do government hot takes. Gaming hot takes.
Okay.
Welcome back to the What Is Up Indonesia podcast. But before we start this podcast, I, as a co-host, need to congratulate the founder of What Is Up Indonesia, Abigail Limuria, for being a mother. Yay!
Thank you.
She didn't know I was going to do this.
This is the first day actually. Like after my maternity leave.
Wow. Yeah. So
Congratulations.
Thank you. Really excited to chat with you.
Likewise.
And yeah, so I was going to start with that first. So please, all the weeboos, they're called weeboos. The viewers are called weeboos. It's a play on What Is Up Indonesia, and weeboos as in you like Japanese culture.
Of course.
So weeboos, congratulate everyone's.
No, I bet everyone was like, she's married? Like, I didn't even know. Like, when?
And suddenly she's got a kid. Well, that's creativity.
Yeah.
Ekonomi kreatif.
And of course, we would like to introduce our special guest for today.
Yes.
Wakil Menteri Ekonomi Kreatif, Mbak Irene Umar. Yay!
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for coming. Thank you.
So in English, it's Vice Minister of the Creative Economy. Yeah?
Correct. And we are not only a ministry, but we also have the badan, so we retain the backcraft part of it.
Okay,
so it's a
backcraft.
Kementerian. Yeah, that's why we shortened it as Ekraf, because otherwise it's going to be super long.
Yeah, right. And of course, Indonesian ministries are always long.
We'll make it short and cool. That's why it's Ekraf.
Okay, so now before we start, maybe we would like to introduce you to the audience, and maybe many people who don't know your background. You were in the private sector.
Mm-hmm. I was in the private sector.
So a banker, investor. Correct me if I'm wrong. And
yes.
of course,
and then went to the gaming industry, right?
Correct.
Yes.
And now in the government.
So please
Interesting.
walk us through that. How did it come to this point? What was your experience, and why the government?
I don't think.
Yeah, seriously, why?
Yeah.
Well, that's okay. I think background-wise, you guys would know where I'm coming from, right? Private sector, you nail it. Banking, venture capital / investor, specifically into the gaming industry. And then the last stint was in the blockchain gaming space, where I grow communities like yourself in Discord, right? So I used to live in Discord for a while as well, especially during COVID.
Wow. Are you on Discord?
Of course I am.
Wow, you should don't join the What Is Up Indonesia podcast at Discord. No, it's very okay.
Why? That's where the truth happens, right? Now you're worried, right?
She knows.
Oh gosh, okay.
Because that's where you can fish for what's happening on the ground. Because otherwise you stay out in cloud nine and then nothing happens. It's best to know what's happening on the ground, and I love that. Sometimes you can ask them. I escape to take Grab or Gojek because I want to talk to the drivers. Okay. And then they will be very confused, like, where are you? I'm like, I'll see you in the office. I just escape.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so WIUI has a very thriving Discord community.
I love it.
If you ever decide to join, please let me know so I can sterilize it first.
Yes, please. Weeboos, please be on your best behavior if she goes on the Discord. And they're like, I don't want to be in our best behavior. No, I'm just kidding.
Now, here's the thing, right? Yeah. The key is being authentic. I mean, all of us, I feel, we all should be authentic. You say that I was in private sector, but now I moved to the government. What changed, right? I had that question in the beginning, whether I should dress up properly, get back to the power suit and all back in banking days. I left all of those. And so I spoke to myself, I'm like, no, I work so hard because not only at work, but also mental wellness and all that, right? So that I can make my authentic self. I'm not going to throw that away. So you see, I'm still with my sneakers and with my jacket.
Very cool jacket.
Very cool jacket.
Thank you. So I refuse to be not cool just because I joined the government. But joining the government, it was a call. Suddenly I just received a call and they asked me.
Literally a call.
Literally a call. Literally a call. Hell no. Never in my dreams that I actually would become or would work in the government, right?
Yeah.
So I like what you guys say in Discord, resonate with it, but now I'm on the other side. So just got to do my part, right, on making things happen.
Can I know specifically who called? Or is that a secret?
So there's someone from that's a secret.
So there's someone, never mind, we're not going to go there.
But there's someone, the fun fact is, I didn't know that someone until that call happened. So they tracked me down and they found out I'm a Buddhist, right? Oh. And my dad is quite active in a Buddhist organization.
Yes.
So they found me through my dad.
Oh,
So for the whole
really?
day, my dad isn't calling me. Pick up the phone. I said, I'm in a back-to-back meeting, Dad. Chill. I'll call you later. What is it about? And he didn't tell me anything. So we got on a
it's
call at 10
interesting.
p.m.
Right.
And it was and then the next morning, I got called to the parliament. And I didn't even know.
Were you
how to enter.
surprised?
Were you surprised with this call?
I was like, look, even my dress code don't fit. What do you want me to do, right?
Right.
And they said, well, you've been doing economy creative for the longest time. Like, how do you know? Well, we Google you. Oh, okay. But what do you want me to do? Well, simplify what can be simplified, because economy creative is something we want to push, and we feel that you can do it. So I was only given split seconds, so to speak, to whether say yes or no.
Really?
Yep. And so I just closed my eyes, look up to the above, and like, whatever you decide for me, you better be responsible. And he said yes. So I'm like, okay, fine, let's do it.
Oh, wow.
That was
this is actually
the
a very
day.
interesting story.
That was the day where we all went to Hambalang. You remember all of us went to
Yeah,
Hambalang?
Hambalang, yeah.
So they didn't tell me what that Hambalang was for.
Seriously?
You said you didn't
Seriously.
know.
I didn't know. So I just had to go, all right, I'll go. So this is how my life has gone, right? Whatever doors is open, we just go in.
Oh,
so
wow.
imagine I went there late, sat at the back. What is this about? But cool, this is interesting. Okay, bottle up the emotions, let's learn, right?
Okay.
And that was the whole day. If you notice in the pictures, I stood on the far left or right and leaving a small space in case they need to crop me out, right?
Okay,
Because that was my thinking process.
Right,
like,
right.
okay, in case they need, I'll figure it out tonight on what's going on. But in case they need to crop me out, they can.
Oh, right. Wow, this is actually
I'm sorry,
very interesting.
I'm actually pretty flabbergasted. Like
Yeah,
the whole time I was like, that was
but
very
here's the
interesting.
thing, right? And I learned so much because we've always been on the private sector side, and always fight for the gamer strike, for
Yeah.
creative industry
Yeah.
that no one seems to know, including my parents and my mentors, right?
Right.
But coming to the government side, I understand why certain things don't happen as fast, and I'm trying to drag it as fast as I can.
Okay, that's a great point. Okay, now let's key in on that. Can I key in on that?
Of
But
course.
but before we key in on that, just like Weeboos with their amazing journal club, we need to
Right.
define first what is economic creative.
Yeah.
Wala kita ngomong jauh-jauh, we're
It's
gonna talk for a long
it's
time.
very general, right? And it's very vague actually.
So would you please define it for us and maybe explain to the viewers at home, the Weeboos?
For me, it's pretty simple, right? Economy creative. Creative is any sort of creativity that we could commercialize. So what are those creativity that we have? All of the times, we all think of it as our hobby, right? In terms of this podcast. The podcast community usually started off because they wanted their voice to be heard. And then later on, you can actually monetize it. It all started from a passion. Painting, drawing. Nobody wake up and say, I want to paint for my life and make a living out of it. There's no inspiration that's going to come out of it or going to flow. Your books, you didn't wake up and say that I want to be a writer and make a living out of it, right? You write it because of certain passion. You want your words to be heard. So those are creative economy. I can't wait to read that. But we define economy creatives into 17 subsectors.
Okay.
All right.
17.
17.
Oh, wow, that's a
yes.
lot.
I didn't know it when I signed up for it. So we have movies. We have from the normal sectors, which is fashion. Under fashion itself, there are subsectors: Muslim fashion. You've got beauty. You've got perfumes. You got God knows whatever that falls under fashion and beauty. And then you got culinary, which I love this, by the way.
Thank you.
And then what else? You've got all the way to digital. The new things that we add on are three things: content creators, because nobody have actually looked at this space properly, and
Right.
there are certain things that we need to iron out. I'm not talking about controlling what the influencers can say or cannot say. I believe in freedom of expressions, but I'm talking about the commercial aspect of it, right? How can we make RPM higher, for example? Indonesia is one of the lowest RPM.
Yeah,
and yet
lowest,
we are
0.0 something cents.
Precisely. And yet we are the largest contributor to it.
Yep.
So those are the things that we look at. Second thing is new tech. What are new tech? It could be AI and blockchain, where everyone is talking about AI is going to kill us, AI is going to end the job. But if you look at it, it's what we always wish for, right? We always wish as a kid we could duplicate ourselves. So someone else going to do homework, we can play. Now, it has become a reality. So duplicate ourselves, increase productivity, do what we love doing, right? And blockchain. Blockchain is something about decentralization, transparency. We all want transparency. But how many of us actually go and learn it? How many accesses are there? I learned about blockchain through Discord. So I practically live in Discord since 2021. But yeah, so those two, we put it in. And the last bit is outsourcing technology. because Indonesia actually has been one of the large contributor to the world in terms of outsourcing houses, but no one have actually regulated to see how the ecosystem could grow.
Got it.
Yeah.
So I find it interesting. You mentioned earlier that now that you're in the government, you realize why certain things are not happening the way they should be. Can you
enlighten us?
Yeah. Have you pinpoint like the pain points of like the hindrance to progress?
Bureaucracy. So in a private, I will make it easy. In a private sector, right? I was a banker before, and the one department that is very likened to bureaucracy will be compliance. No.
Oh, I see.
Now you get what I mean, right?
completely understand what you mean.
Second part is accounting.
Accounting,
Right.
You have to see everything, yeah.
So-
why is the money going here? For what reason? Double check it, triple check it, everything.
Precisely. So
I understand.
imagine at a country scale.
Right.
And all of us in creative economy, we are the sales troops, right?
Right.
We are the
Yeah.
business
Yeah.
development troops. We want to get things done. We want to launch things. We want to make things fast. And then you've got, compliance that we got to deal with, which I understand why compliance is
I understand.
important,
Yeah.
right? You always need to have the check and balances. But it was a shock for me, right, when I came in. But once I liken it to how corporate works, it works in a very similar manner. The president is the CEO. Bu Sri Mulyani is the CFO. Menpanerbe is human resources, right? And so on and so forth. Then you got the execution team. The executor team.
Yeah.
That's the police and the TNI and so on and so forth, right? And it works in a very similar way. Economy creative essentially is a subject matter expert, where we have to, the key to anyone in the government for me is, and I told them as well, we have to fully understand down to very single details, because the devil is in the detail, right? On every single industry, and map up the entire ecosystem, always cross and balances, because in the end of the day, we deal with humans. And humans have their preferences, right?
Yeah.
Have their own opinions. So as the government, we've got to make sure that we are freaking neutral and we can hear from every single person
Right.
and not form our own opinions, but form a consolidated opinions so that we can move forward.
Right. Bureaucracy by itself, in its essence, I know it's such a negative stigma. It's not bad per se, but it's the way that the bureaucracy has been bureaucrafied to such an extent.
Weaponized.
Right. It's become such a thing, which I understand. And okay, so I understand that point. And one more question for me, right? Because Wamen has been to become a Wakil Menteri right now in this administration. Has been it's been a media talking point across the ministries.
Yep.
Really?
Right. Yes, it has. And now I just want to ask you like a simple question. I'm an anak hukum, and I always ask, what are your obligations? What is your kewenangannya atau apa? What are your limitations that actually a woman can or cannot do? Because that's something that if people blame you for something or people praise you for something, and you're like, well, you know what? This is I legit cannot do this. It's not my power to do X or Y or Z. And maybe you can enlighten us and clarify to the audience.
Can, and I'll also add on to the bureaucracy point as well. So as a woman, obviously within the ministry, the highest power goes to the minister. But the minister is basically he is responsible for anything that happened within the ministries, right? Just like any other companies, you've got the CEO to be responsible for everything. For me, what I do is that it depends on, there is no clear cut because every ministry is different.
Okay.
So we divide our roles in Ekraf in a manner that I think people now would know. I'm very close to the industry because I speak the language and I've been in the industry for long. So that will be my role. I'm not close to the bureaucracy. So Pak Menteri is really good at it because he's been around for 20 plus years in the government. So he understands how to get things done in the bureaucracy and to navigate through the maze. I am freaking straightforward. I say things as it is. It's green, it's green. I'm not going to say, oh, it's cloudy green and whatnot, right? It's clear, it's green. So both of us speak different language. He navigates through the political route and the bureaucracy route. I navigate through whatever that's within the community, whatever that's that the community wants, and anything community basis and private sector basis.
Okay. So what are like some of the tangible real programs that you guys are doing as Ekraf?
Yes, I like this. All right. So for me, I always do not like when we dream of something, but then we don't get things going. Because I got to say that coming into the government, right? A few things that internally, especially in Ekraf, because it's such a new thing, we gotta increase the manpower capacity so that each person understand. And it starts with people, right, the mindset shift so that it's not limited, because most people in the government will operate like, this is my tusi, this is my tugas dan fungsi, my roles, right? And so I can't look beyond. For me, I think we all need to look beyond. Even though when we act on it, we'll focus within our tusi, but we can always collaborate with the other partners to move things forward. Because otherwise, then our programs or rules and regulations will be very, very working in silos, right? And that's not something that we want. So for me, I work closely with other ministries, especially the ladies Wamen. We are very, very close. And a couple of programs that we've worked with as early as December, I want to show people that the government can work fast. So we launched 2 things. As small or as big as it is, we get it done in days. The first one is Game Corner. Why is Game Corner important in the airports? It's because it's a showcase of Indonesian games. Historically, I think when you go to the airport, you look at a sad-looking corner and wondering what that is, right?
Sad-looking corner.
It was, because I always pass through it. I'm like, there's so much more that can be elevated from this. But we can't blame the airports because they're not in the gaming industry. They do not know what games are available, right? So working with the airport, who are extremely open in Journey, shout out to you guys. And so to bear with my craziness, we get that done in 7 days. And we got the game associations to go and select and showcase it. So now suddenly all the cabinets know that,
you can work in 7 days.
We got it done in 7 days. And everyone would be like, can we actually pull this off in 7 days? On Christmas, by the way. We opened it on Christmas. So he's one of the guys who actually have to sleep in the airport to make sure that it happened. And I told him, can I come? He's like, no, you stay at home. I said, fine. So at 2 a.m., I messaged him, how is it going? 5, how is it going? Send me the picture. But it's done. The second initiative is our first collaboration with Taman Mini, right? Taman Mini they messaged me on Friday evening saying that they wanted to do something. They're open for collaborations. So we put together 6 IPs. 6 IPs including board games, including Puno Pals, Desa Timun, and so on and so forth, to do an activations in Taman Mini because the crowd is huge. I'm all about seeing how to captivate a moment so that people could commercialize it. Because in the end of the day, it's all about commercializations. So we push 6, 7 IPs to go to that event, and so that they can monetize and capitalize on the Christmas crowd and New Year's crowd. And since then, Taman Mini has been an ally for us. Now going forward, other than that, that one is on Friday, and we got it done on Tuesday. Launch it on Tuesday, open it on Tuesday. So suddenly you can imagine, right? Internally, especially the young ISN, like the ones that are in this room with us, are like, we can actually get things done, And I'm like, hell yeah, I just have to pull it, right? And get it done and make some calls. And we're able to do that because I think this cabinet is a bit unique. We went to Magelang, right? In Magelang, we were all in the military camp. Right. So when we were in the military camp, we have nowhere to go other than the next tent, other than talk to the next people, right? The people next to us. And so as a result of that, we bonded through those few days. And so it's very easy to make for us to make some calls. And that is, I feel, an antidote to bureaucracy.
Okay, because you guys actually talk to one another and have a good personal, close relationship, you can access one another. Correct.
And we don't have to talk like as if, what's in it for you? What is it that you want? What's the hidden agenda?
Because I think for a lot of people, this idea is foreign because for a lot of people, the government is one body, right? And so technically for them, it's like, obviously you're going to talk to one another per department because you're one body. But as it turns out, this is what I've learned also, that each sector and each institution, for example, they rarely talk to one another, as it turns out.
That's why I'm quite happy with this cabinet, and I understand why Pak Prabowo always say, no more ego sectoral, no more egos and this. We only have one vision, which is Indonesia Emas, and we really, really need to work together, talk to each other. He always emphasized on that. In the beginning, as a newbie, I didn't understand because I wasn't even in politics
you weren't
before.
in the crowd.
I wasn't. I didn't even monitor the crowd, right? I was in Discord, so I didn't even monitor the crowd.
And that's a different crowd. That's a different.
Indeed, and you know what we're talking about. But
oh my God!
But my point is this. I think this cabinet is special because we are doing all we can to work. Of course, not everyone is there yet, right? But the young ones, especially, who can stand our craziness, we work pretty closely together, and relationship comes first. And we always talk about how can we make changes, how can we simplify things. On my first day on that recruitment, quote unquote, right, on that call, I remember one thing: simplify. Negara kita itu ribet, Rin. Our country is complex.
Yeah, the common saying is kalau bisa dibikin ribet kenapa simple kan?
Nah, mandate-nya aku that day was help me to make it simpler. And economy creative, it's a complex one, right? Simplify it where we can. So other than that, right now, please wish us luck, is that we are also pushing for a few initiatives where I know that a lot of artists, for example, when they come to Indonesia, the visa situation, the bea cukai situations, all of those, we have captured all these informations, right? All the struggles. And so we are formulating plans so that policies could be changed and clarified. Even as simple as photography. You asked about something concrete. Photography, sekarang DSLR is so cheap now, right? Relatively more affordable. Right?
Okay.
And so most people have DSLR. Now, in the past, the regulation is if you are DSLR, you're equal to commercial photography, and hence you need a permit or a license, which doesn't work anymore now. Yeah. So we are pushing to upgrade those to the relevant, and that regulations is not centralized. It's divided into the place owner, and so we got to talk to them. Hey, upgrade it, please, because it's something that if you are not into photography, you wouldn't know. Right. And we also have Matic, which is Melek Technology. Okay. It's an IP from a board game that's pretty popular 10 years ago. We raised that again because we want to empower women, especially single moms, single parents that are, especially in the daerah, to start to become melek dengan technology by using just the phones that they have. What are the programs we have? They can be affiliated marketing. We connect them to brands. They could be content creators. One of the largest content creator with more than 20 million subscriber, Indonesian, is actually a mom and a daughter, not living in Jakarta, but living in Central Java. And it's amazing, but not a lot of people know about it. And they, despite of the huge following, they still are very humble people. I think these are sources of inspirations. So you can see economic creative is scattered all over Indonesia, right? And so we launch something we call as Ekraf Hunt, because we're doing a treasure hunt right now to find hidden gems all over Indonesia and consolidate them under one platform that will later be called as Ekraf Data. Why? Because we need the database. Right now, for example, we don't even know how to find where can I find if let's say, for example, I suddenly go to Papua and I'm like, I need to make a pin. I don't know where to find those pin. Okay. Right? With the yellow pages, quote unquote, Ekraf Hunt, Ekraf data, you are able to find who's around you. So with that, what I hope is that we could map up the entire ecosystem nationally and internationally, so that you could activate. Not everything needs to come to Jakarta. You could activate location basis, and this ecosystem can move forward together. Because you'll be surprised when I visit certain daerah, then I always do FGDs, right? Meet up with people. They call it FGD, but for me, it's just meeting up and listening to them. A lot of them, they don't know each other. They're living in the same city. Tak kenal maka tak sayang, right? So that is one effort that we are pulling together so that it could happen. And if you ask, what's the budget for it? We are lucky that there is a company in Jogja that love the country so much, and so they're developing this pro bono for us, including all the source code is given to us, except that the server will be in PDN, which is under Komdigi.
Okay.
Amazing, right? We have amazing people.
Yeah.
Right. It's just that, if I may be frank, you have a very streamlined thought process because you were in the private sector for a long time. So I'm not surprised hearing this from you. But look, I'm sure that in the government, in the ministry, there are some mindsets that you have to change. Yeah. In order to be like, no, like this, it's so simple. Get a database. No, simplify. You can do this in 7 days, right? So I want to zero in on this point where you said it's about the human people and the mindset. Yeah. Do you think that's the hardest part in order to educate Bawa? This can be streamlined. You can make this in 7 days. Do you know what a content creator actually does? But then how do you incentivize them to learn about all this if all their life they're told that this is my tugas and fungsi is this, I don't care about everything else? So how do you do that as a woman? I want to ask this question to you.
So on the mindset part, it's not only in the government, but external as well. So the entire Indonesia needs to learn about 3 things. One is mindset. Streamlining the mindset. Second is entrepreneurship, because entrepreneurship doesn't always mean that you have to start a business. There's something called intrapreneurs where you have to sense of belonging and all, right? And so you can achieve more. And the third one is financial planning 101. Personal financial planning. So translating this within the government itself, when you say mindset shift, yes, of course. But for me, I use different language. I use different ways of speaking to different people, and trying to understand what will pique their interest, right?
Okay.
So, and I believe in Johari windows. You don't know what you don't know. So we can't really. The first thing that I learned is that in the beginning I'm like, huh? You don't know Discord? Really? But then I thought to myself, oh yeah, the first time I encountered Discord, I didn't know about it as well, right? And so with that, that humbles me, and that makes me try to understand what has this person seen or not seen. Maybe they were not as lucky as I am. They were not given the opportunity.
Right.
So instead of talking until sampai mulut kering juga, they won't get it because they've never seen it, right? So just do it and show them. Continuously doing and showing, and aligning my interests with theirs, and speaking their language continuously every day.
Right.
I'm quite happy that at least within Ekraf that has started to snowball. Not as fast as I want to. I'll be honest.
Right. But has there been like changes? Like
there has been changes.
Okay, because I think with this like mentality and culture, I would say, right? So for me, I just published my book. This
Makanya mikir, by now cetakan kedua, akan ada cetakan ketiga.
Ini bener banget, Bo. Ini bener banget. Makanya mikir gitu loh.
Yeah, and I mean because of this book, and book publishing, writing, it's part of economic creative, right? And I realized that one of the key hurdles or problem with the culture and ecosystem that I experience is actually the culture of pembajakan buku. It's like I published this book like around January, and by February there's already like so many illegal seller who copied my book, and they're freely selling it and advertising it everywhere. And I can report it again and again, but they keep on popping up. And firstly, I feel like there's no law enforcement there being done about these illegal pembajakan. And I know that with a lot of my fellow writers, this is a massive problem because it's eating away the already very little royalty that they have, right? And I mean, royalty is another issue. I feel like, because like writers, they get only like a lot of people don't know this, but if you publish through like a publisher, writers usually only get like I think like 10, 12, around 10, 12 royalty. Sometimes if you're already like a big writer, you can negotiate until like 15, I think. And even in that small percentage, you still get taxed. And even in that small percentage, like a lot of your profit goes to pembajakan, and there's no rules and regulation. And on top of that, I think it is the culture that the people think it's okay, and a lot of people still don't see why it's wrong. I have people comment on my personal social media of when I was advertising this book. They comment like, "Saya tunggu bajakannya aja, Mbak."
Sabar.
Like on my social media, and then someone was like, "Kenapa jadi kapitalis gitu?" or something. Buku harusnya saya akan menunggu bajakan yang murah apa gitu, and it's in my comment section, right? Like they go through that, like they feel it. Not only is it wrong, but they feel like it's they're entitled to do that. And so we have, from what I see, we have like bureaucracy problem, and then we have this cultural problem, and then we have tax problem. And the reason why books are so expensive and why profit margins are small is because we still import our papers. They're required to print books. And yeah, I mean, it's not just the problem of Kementerian Ekonomi Kreatif. I feel like it involves import export. It involves kayak Kemenko, the Ministry of Finance, and maybe the Ministry of Education, because it involves the culture and how people should educate, how people appreciate intellectual property. And so how do you even begin as a ministry, right? So this is just one sector.
Yes. Indeed.
How do you begin to untangle that with real programs and tangible?
Yeah.
So specific to books, I'm glad you mentioned this, because this is one of the subsectors that not a lot of people look at, right? Because a lot of people have the misconceptions that Indonesians don't read. They do read. You just have to give them the right books, introduce the right books to them. Because I used to open
price.
At the right price. So
and access.
You mentioned end-to-end. So we map up the ecosystem, and we spoke to a couple of authors. We spoke to a couple of publishing guys as well. First thing first is, you're right about the paper, right? But okay, rewind a little bit. I like to address, and I always say to the consumers, to the people, which is be fully aware that the books that you buy is the blood, sweat, and tears of the writer. Imagine if your work and whatever effort that you put into is hijacked by someone and just sold freely and you don't get anything. Do you feel appreciated? If you don't feel appreciated, don't do that to anyone, because in the end of the day, it's the consumers who needs to be awakened first, and that's why mindset shift is not only within the government but the entire Indonesia, if not Asia. That's the first one. Second, when it comes to enforcing copyright books that are bajakan, right? We have actually spoken to marketplaces to take it down. And we have infused our Haki registration, like a call center or helpline within each platforms. Jadi di Shopee, di Tokopedia, especially Shopee, we just close it with them. Then we're working with them so that ini bisa di stop. Gitu
Yeah,
loh.
yang paling banyak in Shopee and TikTok Shop.
Yes. So those platforms, we have immediately talked to them and said, you got to take this down because there are other things that we are talking about. It will impact that if you don't stop this, right? So Shopee commitment is full, 100% on this. So which is good. We just had a conference with them last month, I think, on Hari Penulis atau Hari Penerbit Nasional, kan? Hari Buku Nasional, sorry. So that one is done. And on the books itself, right, on the quality of the paper, I asked this question because I used to live in India, where books are extremely cheap.
Very cheap.
Very cheap. And you know why? Because the quality of the paper is very, very bad. And even then, masih ada pembajakan. So I asked the writers this, your readers ya, kalau misalnya kualitas dari bukunya nggak bagus, bakal dibeli nggak? Jawabannya masih enggak. So we still need the quality of the papers to be proper. And hence, ini kan as part of hilirisasi ya. I gotta admit that I'm still investigating why we can't produce this locally. And if we can't produce this locally, why can't we import it at cheaper price? Is the reason because emang dari tempat source-nya itu memang mahal, atau it's because of the tax? Once we get all of this done, jadi sekarang lagi dikaji sih untuk yang soal paper ya. And then we will be speaking to other ministries. With other ministries, they are aware that we are looking into this, and they tell us once you subject matter expert kan, we pride ourselves in it. Jadi once you get to the bottom of it, come and talk to us and let's iron things out. So the willingness is there.
I see. Okay.
But kan consumernya itu sih yang benar-benar perlu.
Yeah.
You have a choice, you know. I mean, you guys are in Discord, right? Please help to advocate with this because Indonesian creative sector, we only need one chance, and we need awareness of all the people, all the consumers to make the choice because you have the choice. You have the ultimate choice. We can continue to catch people, to stop people from doing things. But we all know this. We all have been kids before. If our parents say no, don't sit, we will always sit. Parents say don't stand, we will always stand, right? So I prefer to get to the collective awareness atau kesadaran lah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's hard, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's hard.
very
It's
hard.
hard. But come on, guys, don't give up hope. We need to do this. It's not only for Indonesia, it's for humanity.
Makanya mikir.
Makanya, jangan langsung ya.
Makanya mikir.
berasumsi.
I promise the insight is much kinder than the title. Ini clickbait marketing. Yeah. So that's the
economy
book
creative.
industry.
You gotta make it clickbait so that people buy. Otherwise, the roda economy nggak jalan.
Exactly. And even this podcast is economy creative, right?
Exactly.
Like we media, like it's all economy creative. So this topic is actually very close to me and Andovi.
Yeah,
and
it's very
Andovi,
close to us.
like his shirt, right? He has
I have a musical. That
is
in the previous administration, I asked help from Ekraf. It wasn't Menkraf. It wasn't Ekraf yet. Didn't get any help. Thank you. But it's okay. Look, I don't want to talk about me and my brother because we are the lucky ones. We are the privileged ones. I actually want to talk about the points that you address about outside of Jakarta. Right? You said content creating.
Before that, by the way, I love musicals in Jakarta, in Indonesia.
Okay.
It's amazing, and we are doing. It touches my heart deeply because I spoke to a couple of groups that I've watched it with, and I think as a country we got to do something about it. In Jakarta Future Festival that's happening next week, I think it's the first time that the government actually invite musicals.
And I'm one of the speakers.
Oh, perfect. No, musicals. Actually, performance.
Oh, there's a performance.
The performance,
as well.
yes. So the performance happening by Jakarta Moving. And I want everyone to watch it because, you know what? that's something that you can be proud of, which is our musicals. It is world class.
Yes,
World
yes.
class.
Please make the gedung lebih murah. Okay, I'm not gonna talk about
And Pungli.
and the Punglis. I'm not gonna talk about musicals. That's a whole other thing. Let's talk about content creating.
Udah di dalam PR kok.
I've been a content creator since I was 17, from 2011.
Wow.
From 2011, I was one of the first YouTubers in Indonesia. Now I'm 31. Now it's 2025.
You're 31?
I'm 31 now. Yeah. I've been doing this since I was 17. And look, I'm not gonna talk about myself and my brother because we are the privileged and lucky ones that made it. But the reality of the situation is, our content creating system is still very Jakarta centrist. Just like you said, I know exactly what you're talking about. The ibu-ibu na anak-anak 20 million in Jawa Tengah. How does the government and specifically Ekraf make this very decentralized that not only Jakartans get the opportunity? So I know that's a very broad question. That's a very big question. And I know it's not easy because once we go to daerah-daerah, not even people, when I say daerah, people always think that, daerah. No, I talk about every other city outside of Jakarta has their own pain point and struggle point. So that's a very broad question. Like, please take us to however you want to tackle this question.
So Emak-Emak Matic and now we have Gen Matic is the entry point, right?
Right.
And it's not in Jakarta only. We actually, this year, we are doing it in 40 cities and it continues to increase. And that's one. Second, in December, one of the first thing that we did, we've been fighting for up until now as well, is in Ekraf, is to have Dinas Ekraf, because we don't have Dinas Ekraf in daerah-daerah as our perpanjangan tangan.
So it's only in Jakarta?
Oh no, we don't have Dinas at all.
No, not at all.
No, because we are 200 plus days old, right? And
sorry for that. Sorry.
Jadi adanya itu Dinas Pariwisata dan Ekraf, and naturally it becomes Dinas Pariwisata
because they're the old ones yang udah
betul.
Okay.
So now we want to have at least Dinas Ekraf as our perpanjangan tangan. Kenapa? Because not only we have perpanjangan tangan one, second they are creative hubs, they are desa devisa, they are desa wisata. I don't want to build another creative hub under that. I want to create the content for it. So the Dinas Ekraf punya tugas adalah creating the hub atau the tempat untuk orang-orang berkumpul so that they can learn, they can mingle, they can collaborate together. Lokasinya sudah ada. And in that location, how do we manage to use the spaces that are available so people don't have to rent an office if you're starting out. You can just work there, right? We want to make it seamless so people can come in, use the space as an office, use the space to do podcasts, use the space to produce, use the space to collaborate. It's very similar to co-working spaces. And one thing is that Ekraf, because kita anak bontot, our budget is extremely small, right? And so by having Dinas Ekraf, at least their daerah punya budget yang bisa ke sana.
Okay.
But the key is content. And we are not doing this only with Indonesia, Every time we visit countries outside of Indonesia, we always visit the KBRI and meet the diaspora because why they are our lighthouse. They are our megaphones where whatever that happens in Indonesia, mereka kangen kok sama yang Indonesia. Tapi kalau misalnya nggak ada newsletter yang we can push to them so they know what's happening in Indonesia, then what do you expect them to do? Like Jumbo, for example, is one of the very clear sample where when we know the exact dates of when they are launching, which is 5th of June and 22nd of June in different countries, the first thing we do is I put it in my Instagram, and second, we send a letter to Kementerian Luar Negeri to help to reach out to all KBRI. And for countries where I know the dubes sendiri, I'll WhatsApp them and say, bisa ngerjain nobar gak? At least so that people know what is coming out of Indonesia. Ini beneran harus dikumpul. I know it's very idealistic, right? But we just have to try to do it lah. Kalau kebayang gak sih Indonesia kalau kita kumpulin nih masanya dari daerah Sabang sampai Merauke, our cerita dari masing-masing itu banyak banget. We have a lot, and I always tell people, right? And right now they are doing city branding, right? And I always tell, and I was one of the speaker as well, and I was like, guys, do not copy. You can be inspired of it, but we don't need the entire Indonesia to be painted with colorful villages. Because you don't want to create a shopping mall in every single city. You want something unique that you want to push out so that you have a different USP. That's something that might not be in the minds of the government because they're not marketeers, right? So those are the things that we are trying to push so that stories, bukan hanya pelaku Ekraf but stories can also come to us and then we can help to push it forward.
Right. So from what I'm hearing, I think the thing about the funding, right? You mentioned earlier that Ekraf, because it's relatively new, it has like quite relatively small funding. And from what I see with, for example, Jumbo that you mentioned, making an animation of that quality takes a lot of money. And I think Jumbo is an exception in a way that it has backers that has a lot of money that believes in creating this long-term project and are willing to bet on it, right? And I think the reason why we don't see a lot of Jumbo is because they don't have the funding to do that. And I've heard you saying that Ekraf is supporting creators and entrepreneurs in the creative industry to give them more visibility, to connect them with institution and things like that. But I think one of the key things that they really need is funding. And so how are you helping them with that if Ekraf itself has like minimal funding?
So this is how Kementerian Kebudayaan and Kementerian Ekraf is differentiate, right? Kebudaya, they have Indonesiana that supports festival films and so on and so forth. For us, we focus on commercial films. And thankfully, since I was an investor, I know what the investors think. So when we talk about funding, right, investors have one problem. They don't know where to deploy their money. So the KPI for venture capitals is to deploy funds as fast as possible, as effectively as possible, so that they can get maximum returns, right? So if they have commercially viable products that's available in the market, the investors is going to come. That is guaranteed. Because as we see, we do due diligence at that time, right? We did due diligence of at least 500 to 1,000 startup per year. And it's very difficult to find really good ones. When I say really good ones are one, the founders' mindset, right? Second is whether or not they know what to do with the funding, whether they know what to do with the money. And the third one, the last one is actually the product, because product can shift, business can shift, can pivot. But the first two are keys. And Indonesia, it's quite challenging, I'll be honest. And that's why from the very beginning, I mentioned earlier that Indonesia needs that three things: mindset, entrepreneurship, and financial planning. Because a lot of companies, right, economic creative especially, will say that, yes, I need funding. How much? For example, 10 billion, right? Then I'll ask another question. What do you need it for? That's when you can see the stutter happen. Like, we need it for this and that. I said, no, nail it down properly. Right, you'll be surprised, and that for me is not to put them down. That for me is to guide them through the process so that they understand the labyrinth inside the investor's mind. Because investors' money, I can tell you right now, yes, there's a tech winter, but do you think the investors don't have headache? They have headache. They don't know how to deploy the funds. That's how their KPIs is measured. So understanding what the people with money wants and the headache, and my job is matchmaking. And preparing the people. Nah, untuk animation, sebenarnya there are two ways, right? One is you can have a long, like two hours plus animations like Jumbo. But the other part that can monetize pretty well are the short series, right? When we look at Malaysia, Upin Ipin, they start with short series in YouTube. Right, that's how they started off until they become so big as today. Now the production cost for those will be a lot smaller, but the key is Indonesian contents, when it comes to the quality and the drawings and all, is really, really, really good. One thing that we're lacking is simplifying the storytelling. So Jumbo, for example, what do you remember most? Sub, probably, right?
Yeah.
Why?
One of
Because
the sub.
Because it's simple, anyone can relate to it. Upin Ipin, what do you relate from it? Betul.
Okay.
Something that is very simple across all age, you can grasp it. Now, we need that. That's a bit less sophisticated, but as long as the message is delivered. Like this one, makanya mikir. Nah, ini kalau di animation would be really good gitu.
Oh, makanya mikir the movie.
Oh.
Animated.
Nice.
It's just Pak Ahok screaming, kamu ulang nih nggak bisa
Oh my
mikir.
And then him and Anis hugging together,
Me and Anis hugging and then the whole thing. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Don't get me started. I'm trying to be polite.
Okay, now we're gonna go to the
sure.
questions that we got from the Instagram, from the What Is Up Indonesia Instagram. All right, we're gonna go to the questions and okay. Here's a question from I'll read it.
Yeah. Okay.
From Damien.Adam_. We know that we cannot stop AI growth and its effects on creative industries. If we don't want to lose, we need to embrace it and make it into our game-changer weapon. But many folks, of course, don't agree on this on many levels and have a hard time accepting this reality. Meanwhile, the technology will outrun it anytime soon, like it or not. So, are there any healthy and positive ways to accept AI and embed it in our creative ecosystem? What kind of policies and environment would fit nicely for the technology and creative workers? Thank you and have a great day. Bu, wah para bu, it's mba.
Irene.
You did very well until the end. Until the end, so we're not going to answer your question. Okay, next.
Fail.
No. Thank you, Andovi.
Thank you.
But I think AI is an interest of many of weeboos. And I know, speaking of creative economy, a lot of them feel threatened, right? Especially with a lot of our government publicly endorsing generative AI and it replacing a lot of like creative work. So are we ever going to have like a concrete, robust policies? And what are your thoughts on that? And
For me, everyone in the world, every government in the world is tackling these problems.
Yeah.
But one thing that is clear is that this technology is coming, right? We need to embrace it. Mm-hmm. If I take an example of China, Bustela just shared with me because I met his kid. Right? I met her kid. Her son is studying in China. And I asked him, do you study AI? Oh, in our school, 7 years old, in our school, all homework, we must use AI.
Oh.
It's mandatory to use AI. Why? Because the teachers would like to see what's their thinking process of giving a very, very good command and prompt to the AIs in order to complete their tasks. So that's in every schools in China. That's happening right now as we speak, right? Okay. Indonesia, of course, anything to do with changes, we as human, not only Indonesians, right? We will always resist it. That's human nature. But I feel we just have to embrace it. What are the positive things that Indonesian creative industry has done? Games, for example. Game development used to take a lot of time, especially on the rendering phase and on certain technical aspects. Second, coding. Coding is also something that you have to type one by one, right? Right now with AI, you could actually shorten that time frame so that codes are written for you, but you have to fix it. Yeah. And game programming also, you have to fix it. Rendering process is also shortened. So you have more time to think instead of think, how is this monster's gonna eat me? Yep. Now, one thing that no one actually have looked at, which is my greatest concern right now, is everyone, all the other countries around the world is feeding the AIs with whatever they want to feed it. Now, there will be a time when we might dilute our cultural importance in AI. Because if we don't have enough people inputting or feeding into these AIs about how great Indonesian culture is, do you think anyone who use AIs in the future will recognize Indonesian culture? Probably not, right? So there are things that I feel we need to embrace AI. We need to feed AI so our influence in the world of this new tech will still be maintained. Our cultural importance, our history, everything will be still of relevance because it's garbage in, garbage out. We have to teach these AIs, right? Now, on the regulation aspects, on how we regulate the use of AI, for me, again, it always goes back to consumers. Right now, you're able to identify which ones are using AI and which one is not, right? And at the same time, as government, I've started a conversation with other countries as well. So because collectively, we need to set the regulations in order to leverage on this technology so that it could serve the community instead of the other way around. But I do not have the answer, and I will not want to actually stop anything, because once we stop it, it's a battle immediately.
Look, I just feel like if we talk about AI, this can be another 10-hour podcast.
Yes, for sure.
So we're not going to get into it. But
as innovators, I always embrace new tech.
Yes, I agree with that principle philosophically, in which that when change comes, people resist it.
Yeah.
It's just that I feel that personally, in my opinion, we are underplaying the negative effects of it.
We are.
The positive sides, they're from medicine, from coding. The positive side is always seen and appreciated, but it's just that if we don't have a foundational infrastructure to grasp what's coming negatively. Look, for example, I don't know if you're gonna cut this or not, but I want to speak this because this is from the heart. Right now, there's a video being shared online, created by Google VO3. Short clips about Papuan kids talking about Raja Ampat. The message is very good. The message of the video is very good. But it's clearly made by Google VO3. So it's a bunch of kids saying, save Raja Ampat, Papuan kids. Clearly AI. But now it's shared more than 30,000 people. People in the comment section are going, well, this is good then. The message is great. Saving Raja Ampat, you make AI about it, people are sharing it. Look at it on the side of the coin. Someone can make the same video, saying, we are Papuan kids, we want Raja Ampat, the tambang and all this stuff. So people always see the positive side. Oh, it's just the negative side. The thing is, I don't know the answer. You yourself said nobody knows. Everyone's like,
but that one, right, Andovi, it's regardless of whether it's AI or not. You could also send like 1,000 cameras to Papua kids, and one side, brainwash them to say pro, the other side, pro. So it all goes back to censorship, right? It all goes back to what is the fact, which is something, regardless of which media, we as the government collectively needs to figure out. And this is not something new. It's nothing to do with AI for me. It's about making sure that factual information gets to the crowd. And I always share this, like whenever I meet media, right? We work very closely with media. Always remember, and with government I always say, ingat sumpah jabatan ya. Kalau with media, I said, ingat sumpah jurnalisme ya. We need to serve the facts, the factual matters to the crowd. That's most important. But I don't think it's with AI though. AI
it's not with AI only.
Elevates it, right? Maximize it. Correct.
Yeah.
Social media is the platform that actually makes it easier, but then it goes back to like one, whether or not facts is delivered, because fact is facts, black and white, right? As naive as I might sound, black is black, white is white. And second is to educate ourselves to always seek for the truth. I mean, that's a part of healing, right? I mean, we always seek for the truth.
Yep.
Okay.
And you don't have to cut it. Please don't, because people need to hear this.
I think that's a very important aspect. And I think I like how you're pretty frank about it, that you don't have the answer yet. And you mentioned it.
No one does. I don't want to be soft.
Everyone's China's fighting for it. America's fighting. Everyone's just, it's a battle. It's a battle.
It is. But the international community have started discussing about it. And I feel that we are quite lucky in Indonesia that we are involved also in that discussion.
Right, but I think what's important is that now we know that the government is actually taking it seriously instead of like ignoring it or like be oblivious about it, right?
Cannot. I mean, it's too big of a technology that will have impacts on us.
Yeah.
At least I am looking at it because I'm a user of AI as well.
Right.
But I have to respect, and I can't just copy paste it because we all know that that's plagiarism, right?
Yeah. Okay, so next question is from Sammy Carly.
Yes.
I've always felt like creative economy or industri kreatif has always been a vague term. As Vice Minister, how would you define the scope and parameters of what counts as creative economy? How do you define what's creative and what's not?
We actually are writing. We discussed in the beginning, and we're writing a paper about this, so it's clear, right?
It's a paper. Okay.
There's a paper that we need, a definition paper that needs to come out about what creative economy is, but. Because the thing is, a lot of people come to me, Rin, ini kan Ekraf ya, you yang kerjain. I'm like, anything under the blue sky aja lo Ekraf. Then I don't need to sleep.
Yeah.
But I think what's important, I feel, is that in economic creative, anything that's uniquely one kan. Kayak contoh deh mobil, right? Kalau mobil itu yang standard sekali keluar itu bisa millions. Now that's factories, right? That's not creative. But the process of creating the first prototype, the design, that's creative. Custom cars, custom bikes, those are creative. Furnitures, design furnitures, those are creatives. But when it goes to mass productions, to IKEA, for example, that's not under creative. That's under Ministry of Industry.
Okay. All right.
From Kaitoj Jihad. Kaitoj, I don't know how to say his name. Sometimes when Indonesians make content not exclusively for the Indonesian audience, global, they get labeled as performative. So Inggris, so titik, you fill in the blanks. Do you think Indonesia is ready to accept a broader range of creative expression, regardless of the language, internal message, or intended influence, whether Indonesian or global? That's a great question.
That's a great question.
Kaito. And the question is, in the next episode of One, no, I'm just kidding.
Ready to accept a broader range. I think we create the market. Yeah. I mean, as a voice of influence, we influence whether or not, because the reality is this, what does the country need? I always look at it from that angle. We are very proud of Indonesian, as Indonesians, right? But if we hold on to Indonesians and only want to speak Indonesians, that will close many doors. That will close us connecting to the other side of the world. I'm not talking about only economic or transactions. I'm talking about friendship, right? We can't even build bonds with other people. Do we want to be that kind of people? I don't think so. In the ministry, what we do is these guys, right? I have them on Duolingo. Right, because I forced them.
This is the second time
Right
Duolingo.
now, she's playing Duolingo. Right now, she's playing. You can say Duolingo. No, I'm just kidding.
This is the second time Duolingo is mentioned in this podcast. They really need to sponsor
Should we
us.
invite Duolingo and Duolingo sponsor the WIUI podcast?
I think they should. So I asked them, guys, you need to have one additional language. And obviously they will resist, right? So I'm like, follow me, I'll follow you so I can monitor what you guys are doing. And
You monitored them on Duolingo.
Before I sleep, sometimes you need some entertainment, right?
Yeah,
and you're like,
Duolingo.
these guys have not been checking it for 30 days. What are you guys doing?
Are you-
Wait, the book, what? He's opening it right now. He's opening it right now. I see you.
Are you friends with Pa Ahok in Duolingo by any
Ahok
chance?
is one of the best Duolingo players.
Yeah, like
he is.
he's yeah.
I'm gonna add him. I'm gonna add him into it. But I feel everyone needs to have a second language or a third language because it opens up so much, right? We can't always expect people to learn Bahasa if we don't want to learn other people's language. Then we will be a very close-minded individuals.
I agree.
And if on this one, right, if we make contents exclusively for Indonesians, regardless of whatever language it is, right, even though it's Sundanese, hyper-local language, that defines us as a person.
Right.
And we will attract the crowds that resonates with you. Like this Discord people, right? The Wibu, right? And they resonate with you, and hence they stay here. Because Bahasa Indonesia is not my first language, so I struggled in the beginning.
Got it.
Right. And so many people are like that as well.
Right.
Be authentic, guys.
Yes.
Be authentic. Stay authentic. Don't be sweet.
Nice. So I think we're at the end of our. Andovi's like.
I'm like.
Okay, but I think last question.
Yeah,
last
yeah.
question. I think this is pretty interesting. Okay.
Wow. Silakan Cinder Zello.
Okay, maybe.
Hi, Cinder.
Yeah, you read it. You read it, yeah.
But Irene can read it.
I will read it,
Yeah.
and then they are gonna answer. Yes. So, Cinder Zello, what's your pop culture hot take?
Yeah, well, that's. I think it's answer for a question for you, not for us.
Yes,
yeah,
but this
yeah.
is the last questions, right?
Yeah, so we all answer.
Yeah,
So
we all answer.
Let me go first. And this is such a big question.
I need time. I'm blanking right now.
I also need.
Fine,
Andovi,
I have a hot take.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I don't care. Weebles
You're filled with
hate
hot
me.
takes.
Hate me. I don't care. Weebles hate me. Okay, my pop culture. Oh God, now I'm gonna. Oh no.
Oh my gosh.
Oh no. I'm gonna
They're
hate.
gonna
me.
love you regardless.
No, they're gonna hate.
I
know
have
we
one, but
shouldn't.
I'm gonna get cancelled.
I'm gonna get cancelled so bad on my pop culture hot take.
Now I'm curious. Yes, go on.
You go first, Abigail.
No.
Why don't you guys paper scissors stone?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
rock, paper,
that'll be
scissors.
cool.
Loser,
I like playing host right now.
Loser,
Yes.
Loser says it first.
Yes, loser shades first.
Okay.
Come on.
Should be fine.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
This is
okay,
fun.
you say it first. You say it first. You lost. You say it first.
Ding, 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 ding.
I don't like close the door podcast.
Oh wow. Okay. I mean,
but it's fine.
That's
I
fine.
feel like nobody
That's
who
fine.
watch him watches us, right?
Wow, that
and I
was
don't think
a-
he. I don't think
wow.
he.
This is
But
true
no,
authenticity.
but no hate to the guy. It's just not my cup of tea. I just
Wow. Okay. Are you ready for my pop culture hot take?
yeah.
Of course.
This is not even pop culture. It's sports culture hot take.
Okay.
Oh my God, I
Well,
know.
specifically, this hot take is for my brother. My brother specifically.
Because your brother
Kajo,
plays
just
paddle,
because you
right?
play paddle and has a photo shoot with your Adidas shoes doesn't make you a paddle player, Kajo. So it's actually a very specific.
And that is Adidas. Shame on you, not a local
yeah,
brand.
Kajo, my brother. Why are you not playing with
I
local shoes?
love how Kajo always catch strays.
Strays. Yeah, Kajo,
from
play
this
badminton,
podcast.
Kajo. You love badminton. Indonesia's badminton, Kajo. So that's actually a brother hot take. It's for my brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said it.
But yeah, still pop culture. I
Yeah,
mean, you
still
guys
pop
are
culture.
in the pop culture,
Yeah,
right? So
I said
it
it.
counts.
Yeah.
So that was me, huh?
Yes, all right.
It's a hot take. This is any hot take.
The vice minister of
You can have a lot of-
creative economy of Indonesia's
You know,
hot take.
if she has a lot of gaming hot takes.
Right.
I bet she does. It's like Valorant players are not as good as I say it, Myron, say it. You can don't do government hot take, gaming hot takes, gaming hot takes.
Okay.
Just gaming hot takes.
This is-
Indonesian gamers who play easy games, right? It's simply because they are not as sophisticated as gamers that are outside, who use Indonesian games, who play Indonesian games.
Okay, listen. Hello to
Look,
all.
I love esports, but you guys should try Indonesian games. And why do you think 90+% of Indonesian games laku di luar? It's because the gamers like complicated games, including board games.
Oh, that is wow.
All right, I think we can end that here.
Wow, that is.
I'll be grilled and toasted like nobody's business, and I'm
The
gonna blame
Clippers-
it
the
on
Clippers
you.
You know they're gonna clip this, right? They're gonna clip this and then put all the Indonesian games. And they're gonna like.
And then I'll be attending the esports tournament, right? Oh my god, I'm gonna be so grilled and toasted.
Oh my
God. I think these three hot takes are gonna. Oh.
At least we are not alone, right? At least we're together. At least we're together.
We're gonna go down this road.
I'll be fine.
We will all be fine.
All right, thank you, Mbak Irene.
Thank you, Irene. Thank you so much.
Thank you, appreciate it.
See you on our next podcast, Weeboos.
Bye.
Bye-bye.